Alrighty, folks. Simon here. This is another one of those matches in the 2021 TAC Open Tournament. This time between PlutoTheBrave and Ineria. PlutoTheBrave you have seen before, winning the Blitz tournament, well, tying for first place versus Nohat Coder, and also winning the Intermediate Invitational tournament. And then you've seen Ineria winning the Beginners tournament and doing very well in the Intermediate Invitational tournament. So this should be a solid matchup, though PlutoTheBrave is the favorite in this match here. So gonna see the adjacent corner opening, and PlutoTheBrave is white in this game one. Pluto going for that Knights opening, made very popular by Fwibib, or Fwibib. And let's see, a slight variation here, not what I would expect playing up here at D3 for black. Instead, we're seeing Ineria play down at E2 underneath, sort of connecting or cutting off the connection between white and their initial flat stone. And this seems like a very defensive play right now for Ineria. Basically just placing flats to cut off the advantage of Pluto and the momentum that Pluto has right now. And so I think we might be seeing a D2 placement or a D2 capstone here from Pluto, but instead we're seeing the F3. And based on the previous play we've seen so far from Ineria, I think we'll put a black here at F3. That seems to make the most sense, but not going to do that. Instead placing here at C2, which I don't really understand too well, but Pluto is going to make that connection here at F3, which is then going to probably continue at either E4 or D4. Black has now placed at F4. This is to cut off that immediate vertical threat up in this direction. But I'm not sure how well this is going to work out because black's pieces aren't really concentrated, doesn't have a lot of support from one piece to another to really back up any sort of captures that are taken, and there's no real cohesive threat or direction to black's position on the board. White, however, seems to be very concentrated on this line in both directions, both the vertical and the horizontal direction. Black, I'd say, would need to do something around this corner. If this E2 placement seems like it may have been better with a capstone or something, white now is making this position a little stronger by placing at D2, but now black has momentum. Interestingly enough, white did give up that momentum by placing at D1, and so black now has momentum and will continue to place and force white to make a defensive move here. White is going to make that defensive move using this capstone. Ineria is well known for trying to isolate capstones by capturing away and making the capstone sort of obsolete and away from the action. However, if black does that, in this case, I imagine white's capstone will come over and drop onto C3 even by itself, just to threaten both directions and be in a good spot. Black's capstone does come down, does decide to come in and probably come down and capture here, but instead going to be going straight for that threat first. Now that the threat has been basically eliminated, now black is going to have to do something else, change gears here. Maybe come down with the capstone, unsure yet. White is building a threat in the vertical direction, basically with two separate lines, two separate anchor points here at F1 and D1, both coming around up in that area. This flat here at E2 can come up and interrupt briefly at E3, and that might be what black is kind of holding out for, is to come up with E2 onto E3 and wait for this E4 to come down. Now I'd say, if I were black, I wouldn't have maybe made that particular move, but we are seeing quite a bit happen very soon. Let's go back and take a look at that real quick. So white played here. This is attack threat in the horizontal direction. Black immediately responds with the capstone down. Now white thinking, okay, I will build up here at F5. Not an immediate attack threat, which is what I expected in this case, which would have been at E5, but e5 is where black decides to drop that wall, and then white plays at e1. Now this is interesting because I would have expected maybe an f6 to get the immediate attack threat from black, for white rather, but that didn't happen. And instead the e1 was played, and now we get d4 played from black. Now d4 is coming in this direction. Looks like black is going to go for a vertical threat. e2 left would make that connection here up to d6 if black gets a chance to play at d6 on maybe the next turn. So instead we're seeing f6 played. Now this is that attack threat I was talking about earlier. So e4 right would be that road. Now we're probably going to be seeing something like the capstone move over, or maybe a flat come down, something along those lines. We could even see e2 plus occur, but that actually no, we can't see e2 plus occur because that would still leave the vertical threat there. So likely that capstone on e6, or sorry, that wall on e6, e5, sorry, this one right here, that wall is probably going to come over here onto f5. But if he does that, white just places at e5 and renews the threat and basically forces black to place another wall on e6. So instead, black's going to take f4 and bring it down. Now this interrupts the threat, but that threat can be renewed immediately by just a placement here at f4. And that may be something that white is looking into at the moment. f4 does look pretty nice right about now. Pluto is taking a little bit of time here, trying to determine what the best move is, but they have been playing fairly quickly throughout this match because Pluto has just now got below that 15-minute mark. Ineria is well above the 15-minute mark, and again, they started with 15 minutes on the clock and are only getting 15 seconds added to their time after every turn. So they are playing, at least Ineria is playing, well under that 15-second average turn time, and Pluto was as well, I think, until this turn where he's taking a little bit more time. Let's take a look. Also, PlutoTheBrave is from England, if I'm not mistaken, from the UK at least, and Ineria until recently was in the UK. So yeah, very very interesting. We got the European matchup here between these two players for sure. And if I'm not mistaken, at least one of them was a guest on Fwib's stream when he did a stream playing with a few different players. I believe Ineria was on there. I'm not sure if Pluto did make an appearance, but yeah, fun stuff. Pluto's still taking his time here. Must be really trying to make sure he's not giving anything away and not going to be losing on the next couple turns. Or maybe he's trying to plan out a Tinue. We'll see. Wow, still taking a long time on this turn. He must be seeing something really nice here. Or seeing something really bad, I don't know. I do really like f4 still. What he could do is e3 right, and that would be another attack threat. And then he could, if there was a wall here, he could bring the capstone up, and that would be a renewing the attack threat. He could start playing over here maybe at a3 and start going for the horizontal line, though that does give momentum back to black. So I'd say he wants to make attack threat on this turn. He could also renew the attack threat by playing d2 right. d2 right would be attack threat here, but that also does hurt his horizontal line a little bit more. So he's probably going to want to play that f4 flat, knowing that the e5 wall is going to come right. Now black also could be trying to, on the turn after Pluto's, that Pluto is taking several minutes on, it looks like. Black will likely want to be playing either at d6 or a4 here on the next turn, as either of those would be a attack threat. And both of those moves to make attack threat require this flat here at e2 to make a capture, either left or up, onto e3 or onto d2. White instead bringing the capstone down. Interesting choice here. This is where black can move towards the horizontal threat now. If he decides to play over at a4, that would be attack threat in the horizontal direction by capturing e2+, or could decide to go for the e2+ already and then work towards that horizontal later. Does go for that move. All right, Ineria now has this attack threat that black needs to stop, and may very well stop with an e4 minus move. That would cut off that horizontal attack threat. White really wants to be building in this horizontal direction themselves. But he's got to stop Ineria first, and she does have momentum here. And this road threat can be partially delayed by placing at a4, but doesn't go for that, goes for the capture instead, which is a surprising move here. Did not expect an f2 plus to happen. This is where you will most likely see a recapture with the e3 stack or with this capstone stack here. And yes, capturing with the capstone stack is viable because it will not lead to an immediate road. But I am surprised to see that one come out here. Oh, not going to go for an immediate recapture. Going to drop the wall. Interesting play here. I do like the wall. I think it's a little more aggressive. And it is in a prime position to block White's attack threat that they currently have in the horizontal direction. Does bring that down. Now will we see the f2 placement from White? Will we see e2? What are we going to see here? Oh, we did see the e2 placement. Now, this works in a couple ways. It is not attack threat in either direction, but it is leading towards one in two directions. So placing here at f2 would be a attack threat in the vertical and horizontal directions at the same time. Dual-pronged threat here. And there's not much that black would be able to do about that. So black needs to make a move now to cut that off, whether that be a wall at f2, maybe a flat at f2 might be able to work, but we'll see. Does go for the wall at f2. I think that's the smarter play here. It's certainly more painful in terms of flat count differential, but I think that you really wouldn't have a chance to worry about flat count differential. Ooh, if White made a road. So here we go. Playing at a2 is interesting because this is now that horizontal attack threat, right? Because White can come down with e4, can come over with partial stack on f3, and both of those would be attack threat. However, black can't stop it with the wall going upwards because that would leave this spot open. Does decide to make that capture over onto f3. Now, what will White do to combat this? Will they just make another placement at e3? Will they drop a wall maybe at e3? A placement at e3 would be attack threat. But one that is quite easily thwarted. What is it gonna be? White now taking his time. While I would still say that Pluto is in the lead in general. Ooh, playing at f4, an interesting move here. This is attack threat in both the vertical and horizontal directions. I am intrigued to see what comes out of this. Just a simple placement at e3 for black, okay. Now Ineria does have attack threat, so Pluto is going to have to do something to stop her on this one. Oh, that was clever. So now this black flat on e3 is going to have to come back over onto f3. Interesting. Interesting. So the black flat on e3 has to come over basically on f3. This wall can't move upwards or it's a road for white. So that black flat's got to be the one to come over. And white, or black, cannot throw that capstone over. If she does, she gives up a road for white as well. So here we go. Are we going to see yet another f4 flat? Or are we going to see an f4 wall maybe? We are seeing the f4 wall. Looks like maybe Pluto was just trying to get more flats in that stack. Maybe there's something he wants to do with it specifically. Okay, no attack threat currently for white, but also no opportunity for black to make attack threat here on this next turn. All right, it looks like white's in a pretty strong position here, but black does have an opportunity to make a comeback. I'm not sure if that was the right move here, but it's not necessarily the wrong move either. So we can get 2f3 left here, bring this wall stack over onto e3, and that would be attack threat. Instead, white playing there at f4. Interesting. I guess white is trying to... White looks to be trying to set up some sort of tenuay or something along the lines of going for the vertical and horizontal thread at the same time. Wants to make it so maybe black won't be able to smash here on e3 if the wall comes over. Because if the wall does come over, it is smashable, but black can't smash it with the capstone as it currently stands. I think I see what might be coming soon. What might be coming is black's capstone coming over onto e3. This setup here at a4 is nice for that because she's setting up this horizontal road. So this d3 coming right onto e3 would not necessarily be attack threat, but would be able to set her up with attack threat on the next turn by coming up above onto e4 with that capstone. White now seeing that, recognizing that threat, decides to play up at b5. Well, this is a great defensive move because it can come down and mess up this whole horizontal line that black is building for. It's also a strong offensive move as well, because black does still have these anchor points down here at d1 and e1 to go for that vertical road in addition to the horizontal one. So white's definitely not putting all his eggs in one basket like black seems to be doing at this moment. Ooh, we're also seeing, okay, so the C3 move is important here. The reason it's important is because black doesn't want to give white too much leeway in terms of this direction. So when white comes over with the wall, for example, just 2f3 left, black smashes. This leaves a white flat here. And so white can come up with the capstone here onto d3 and sort of continue on for this direction. Okay, I kind of see where this is going here. All right, and then the b1 play. Now this is interesting. It looks like, let's take a look at the flat count right now. See where things stand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 for white. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Plus 2 Comey. Remember, this is a 2 Comey game. 12, 13. So 13 for black. White now placing up at a5. Black maybe trying to place something in the vertical direction as well, or maybe just place something in an area where white won't be able to make any captures, or black playing up there at e6 so they can make that capture onto f6, not have to worry about any vertical threat going on. Now black can freely jump over and smash onto f3. White may be in a little bit of a pickle here. Though it is not attack threat yet for black. Also not... Oh, it was attack threat for black. Sorry, I forgot that this had a white piece underneath it. Yes. So if you look here, e6 comes over onto f6. Now f6, a 2f6 minus 1, 1 would be dropping a white flat here and then a black flat here onto f4. This would be a horizontal road. White was able to recognize that threat, comes down with b5 onto b4, and that cuts off the threat and also starts building towards that vertical threat for white as well. Alrighty, so it looks like a4 right comes out, capturing onto that stack. Really wants to take control of this stack here, and black would win a capture war on that piece because b3 comes up, captures, and then c4 comes left and recaptures, and then that's black's control. Whether black wants to do that or not is another story. I would say definitely, because sure, it invites a wall to drop, but a wall's going to want to drop here so it doesn't cover up these and really mess you up. So black can spread out to the right, maybe. Maybe spreads left a little bit. Maybe takes the whole stack left. Who knows? But I think a spread to the right might be pretty nice. I would say white is controlling the board right now. Black has these strong stack moves like with this one, but there's nowhere really for it to go because of the great wall placement of white. So now black is going to have to do something here to make up for that. Black was definitely hoping to bring this down and make this capture great positive flat count differential move. But that isn't possible now. We do look at the time here. Pluto just under 10 minutes on the clock, and Ineria with about 11 and a half. Strong play from Ineria, definitely. She is doing much better than I was expecting her to do against PlutoTheBrave. And Pluto's a very strong player. Ineria is a strong player also, but Pluto is in the top 10 for a reason. And Ineria hasn't played as many games lately as Pluto has. And it looks like Ineria went for that vertical spread, which I think was a smart play. I like that move. It works out really well for Ineria. Ooh, and white finally moving that capstone. Things are getting risky. All right, let's take a look at that flat count yet again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 13 for black because of the +2 Comey, again, in this tournament match. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 for white. So white is down by 2 flats. And so if it does end up going to flats, which it very well may, because white just has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 reserves left. So 7 placements left for Pluto, and he can end the game. However, I don't know that it's going to go to that too soon. White is picking up this wall movement up here, is setting up for another positive flat count differential move. Being able to liberate this captive at the same time. So I think this is going to be something that we'll see happen a few times now. Black really focusing on this horizontal line, really wants to make it work, even though there's really very little hope of it working. He's gonna have, or she's gonna have to place here at b4 on the next turn in order to make that happen. Actually, on this turn, I guess, because white played up here at c6. Now this is attack threat for black. Black can throw this flat stack from f6 down to f4. Doesn't do that because white is able to cut that off. No longer attack threat available for black at this moment. But black did stop white from capturing up onto b6 and making that positive flat count differential move and liberating that white captive. Alrighty. Black's in a bit of a pickle here. Not much that they can do. And they want to keep this capstone where it is because of this f3 flat, or f3 wall, and what that stack represents, being able to capture onto these for positive flat count differential moves. This d3 stack with a capstone could come up onto d4 and threaten this stack, but not a particularly great move at the moment. And white filling in at d3 would basically eliminate that possibility. So we do see the d6 played from black, and then the a4 played from white. a4, oh, okay, let's go back before we see the move here. e6 was played. Here we go for the placement at e6. Black, no attack threat, but looks like trying to go for the board fill, but didn't notice that white, by playing at a4, had set up for this capstone to be thrown over onto a3 and make that connection for the road. And that is exactly what Pluto did. Just one move before a board fill would have cost him the loss. Instead, he comes out ahead and wins with a road. Excellent, excellent play. That was a great match. Just overlooked it at the end. Ineria really focused on getting that board fill, trying to make that move, and didn't see that potential road. So really well played to both players. Congratulations to Pluto on game 1 of this tournament match. All right, folks, and we are back. This is game 2 of this 2021 TAC Open tournament match between Ineria and PlutoTheBrave. Ineria this time in white and Pluto in black. And we see A1 as the first placement. And then opposite corner opening. Very different here. Pluto making it go for opposite corners. Then Ineria going straight for that center corner. Looks like again, a variant on that mirrored opening start that we see sometimes, except with opposite corners here instead of the adjacent. So this should be a little bit different. And I think we'll see on this next turn, when white plays down here at d2, we're going to see a capstone played here at e3 or e4. We did see the e3 placed. Now white, I'm expecting white to place here at C2 and start shifting over for that horizontal direction. Now this is where things are different because this is opposite corners. Black can place at A2 and take that momentum back. And I think that's what I would do here if I were black, maybe, or play at B3. A2, B3 both seem pretty nice here for black, since they both further that vertical road that black already has building. But instead we're seeing the E2 placement. I find that a little odd. It doesn't really work towards any advantage that black is going for. It doesn't go for the existing line that black has built. And this is where you might see an A2 placed, unless black wants to continue building up or down, something along those lines. But I feel like playing at E2 was, I don't know, maybe I'm not seeing the overall picture of what Pluto is going for here, but it doesn't seem like a great move in particular. Now I'm kind of seeing what black is going for captures to create a road in the vertical direction. I get that. Ooh, and now white trying to isolate that capstone, which is a move that Ineria has done a lot in the past. And we're seeing black immediately fill in here with a flat. Now this is what black is probably going to do here, what I've seen done a lot to combat this sort of move to isolate capstones, is black plays a flat and then immediately captures onto the flat with that capstone to create this hard capstone in a really, really powerful piece, and then run away with this opening game and really take control in terms of flats and in terms of influence. Now white did drop a capstone here on B3, probably expecting this E3 left move. And so this B3 capstone is going to be able to come over onto C3 to keep this capstone from then capturing onto the stack on C3. So we'll see E3 left and then immediately a B3 right is what I'm guessing will occur. Pluto likely seeing that same scenario play out in his mind, doesn't like it and probably is going to play something different, but goes for it anyway, and we saw that exact same move play out. Now, white is actually in a much better position here than black. And I think that all stemmed from that flat move. I think black should have moved the capstone first. So I'll go back to it. So we see this white flat move away from the cap. I think black's cap should have just moved to D3. It's not great because it's moving a capstone without a capture, but I think that would have been the ideal move there. As it would have kept white from getting the hard capstone and the bigger stack. But that's not what happened, so let's move that ahead. Now we'll see what black's response is. Black plays up here at E5. Then white plays up at D6, looking to probably continue with a C1 or a B1 placement to make that road threat. Black, unconcerned, plays at F5. Now this is probably what's happening. Black wants to throw this stack upwards onto D4 and then D5, kind of going for that horizontal line. So white doesn't, in fact, play down here at C1 or B1, instead plays up at E6. Now, E6 is interesting because it does go for that horizontal direction. And I do kind of like that. Probably saw what happens when they placed down here that black would throw up. So instead placed up at E6, setting things up to go for maybe the A2 placement for the horizontal line. And then when the throw happens, white can build horizontally down in this direction. Okay. Black now building here at E4, setting up to be able to build in the vertical direction as well. Now white kind of playing at that same game of playing across here, being able to throw up that capstone and cut things off. Interestingly, white has not made that tack threat, probably because they don't want to rush this move from black, want to save things, want to set up their own position first so that they can get the better of that position once that capstone does fly. This is interesting. This is some forward thinking from both players, and Ineria is playing much more quickly than PlutoTheBrave. Look at that. She has 16 minutes on the clock. That is a full minute above what her starting time was, and that's 13 minutes into the game. And then Pluto down a minute less than his starting time. And so I'd say that is significant to some degree. I think that means that Pluto is taking on average 22 seconds, maybe a bit more, 23, 24 seconds per turn, as opposed to Ineria taking fewer than that. I'd say less than 15 for sure, since 15 seconds is that increment. Math is hard. Okay, so we see here the B4 placement. This is setting up for that black trying to make that road. Now white has made the tack threat. Black cuts off the tack threat, makes their own tack threat. Let's see if white follows suit and captures upward, or if they decide to maybe place. Oh, I missed it, and so did black. Wow, that was great. That was sneaky. So while we were all looking at this, okay, I need to point this out. This was fantastic. Wow, really great play. So let's look at this. So black plays here, ready to set up for a capstone stack throw for the tack threat. And then white plays at a5 because they can now make the tack threat of bringing 3c3 plus 2, 1 to make that road, right? Right, exactly. So black makes this throw that stops that threat and makes their own. But it doesn't stop both threats, because the other threat was 3c3 plus 1, 1, 1, dropping a black flat here, a white flat here, and the white capstone here on c6, and creating that road. Really well done. It was sneaky because you expected a completely different threat, and you looked at that threat that existed. The one that you expected to occur here was this one. You didn't expect the throw completely on that side. If this were not there, maybe you would see something else. I don't know, but that was just very, very well done. And yeah, well done. So now we get splitting this match. Ineria takes one game, PlutoTheBrave takes another game. So they split that one 1-1. Well done. That was sneaky. Ineria pulling out some sneaky threats here. And I will say that I think my earlier analysis of this move here on move 8, when Ineria sets up for that, making that that capstone isolation move, this is where black should have just bit the bullet and moved that capstone left. We do see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6, 7 with the Comey on flats, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 with the Comey for white. So it would have been 7, 7 after that capstone moved left. Instead decided to place the flat first, which allowed white to place their own capstone and recapture there. I think that was sort of where things started to move in white's favor, and really, really well done. Well played, both players, especially well played for Ineria, and congratulations for splitting that match. And that is all for today. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out the description below for all things TAC, specifically that Discord server, which is where you can find all sorts of people to play with online, all sorts of resources for TAC, tons and tons and tons of resources. It is the community hub. You can also play people asynchronously or in correspondence games right through that Discord using a special bot that we have to play. It's a lot of fun, and you can play people from all over the place and only take a few seconds out of your day to make a move. So really, really fun to do that. Be sure to check out all those things. Check out the Discord, get on PlayTag, play some games, and until next time, have a great day and happy tagging.